Oh Hero，谁还记得？
谢谢，恭喜 Dance 4比3，飞龙在天。
哎，算了，恭喜他
一把
不过啊，他最后这手感染太凶了。最近半年 ZVP 56-3，给自己点一个赞，冠军。
I don't think Cyril has any chance to save this one, but he continues.
It gets killed coming back, and Bunny just doesn't seem to have the numbers in.
谁了个这？
Didn't even notice the Liberator in the main base, I think. So many probes are going down right now.
Oh my god, they're trying to get back, but they can't, and so many are picked up. A big clump here from Carey. Tries to split everything up.
Giant force of fadelings. We're all getting clearing the hell. That's massive.
Clem!
Once again, your has done it.
Cyril did it all, and he is a well-deserving champion.
And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another week, another edition of the Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi Budokai, aka Masters Coliseum number 8, Group Stage, Group D. Oh my god, it's been an intense week so far. Welcome back, one and all. I'm, of course, Showside VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. The group stage has been ongoing for the past month. It began in December, but now we are here in the new year. Welcome, one and all. Happy New Year. Happy holidays as well, as we have returned with Masters Coliseum with the final group, with Group D. As you can see here, we already have 6 players making it into the playoffs. We have three groups concluding, and now we have 1 group left. And we're going to be concluding this group over the next 2 days. Today and tomorrow, 2 days of Masters Coliseum Dragon Ball action. Let's go, baby, let's go. You can see the matches here before us. We have 3 best of 3s here. Clem versus Oliveira, Oliveira versus Spirit, and Clem versus Zoun. Of course, we have our 4 competitors, Clem, Oliveira, Zoun, and Spirit. 4 players come in, and only 2 will make it out into the playoffs. Let's go, let us go. Of course, we have the world champion, we have the reigning world champion, the previous world champion, and of course Zoun and Spirit here as well. Coming into this, I would favor both Clem and Oliveira to make it out of the group, but we've seen both Zoun and Spirit take names, take down big players, and earn their spots in the Masters Coliseum. They're here to cause upsets. We'll see if they can. I mean, upsets have already occurred. Yo, speaking of upsets, if you weren't here for it, I recommend the VODs. I recommend tuning into the previous groups, as Lancer knocked Maru out of the tournament, out of Masters Coliseum. Maru is out, other players are in, and I mean, we're here to find out which other Terrans will make it through. For now, we have the 2 favorite players here. We have the heavy hitters, Clem and Oliveira. Let's go. Let us go. Now, before I get ahead of myself, I know that the race logos say Terran versus Terran, but Clem has not played a TVT in a couple of months. He's been purely playing a PVT instead, purely and only competing as Protoss. TVT has historically been Clem's weakest matchup. It has been his weakest matchup 100%, and he has found the answer to the problem that is TVT. How do you beat Terran, not with Terran, with Protoss? Clem, he has been looking very, yep, and there it is. You can see here, actually, I'll zoom in for you. You can see the race logo for Clem is not Terran, it is Protoss. It makes sense. Again, Clem has been playing nothing but Protoss. Has been playing nothing but Protoss against Terran over the past, what, month, 2 months at this point, and he's looking pretty good. I mean, he is the strongest Protoss player in Europe. He is higher rated than MaxFax, which is crazy to think about. He is a PVT specialist, and he is here to bring down Oliveira. Let's go. And as we get into this, shout out to those in the chat. Oh my god, Lagoyo, Papi, gracias, thank you so much for resubscribing or subscribing for the first time with Twitch Prime, as we're jumping into game number 1. And in the top right hand corner, we have the French Protoss, it is Clem. And in the bottom left, we have the Chinese Terran for Weibo Gaming, Oliveira. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. Here we go. Clem, tell us, yes, if you haven't been watching StarCraft for the past couple of months, then you may not be aware of this, but Clem has been playing as Protoss here against other Terran players, and he has been beating them. We've seen Clem take down Bjorn, take down Cure, take down Oliveira. There isn't a Terran player in the world that hasn't been beaten by Clem's Protoss, except for Maru, because they haven't played. Like, Maru is the only player that has eluded Clem's Protoss, but it's because they haven't actually competed, and they won't compete in this tournament because, as I mentioned, Maru is no longer in the tournament. He did fall to Lancer, and I'll be honest, if Lancer can bring down Maru, I mean, maybe Clem can do the same as well. So Clem, arguably, Clem has the best PvT in the world. You could make that argument as we are settling in and getting into game number 1. Let's go. Clem finally got enlightened. He did. He has unlocked the power of Protoss. Let's go. He has gone Super Saiyan. He has gone further beyond, Bobby. Further beyond. It's one of those things where this entire time, you know, players have been competing. They've been facing off against Clem. Things have been, I mean, Clem is the reigning world champion, of course, but, you know, we've seen players take it to Clem in the past. But this is really when we find out that really Clem has been hiding, you know, this hidden form, this Super Saiyan 3, if you will, the entire time. And the writer of this narrative just suddenly decided to write it in because they didn't know what to do. So they just wrote it in out of nowhere, and then suddenly, bam! Clem, he can play Protoss. It's like, oh, okay. I guess we accept this now. I guess he's the best Protoss in the world. Okay. Now, I won't go that far, but again, playing with the idea that Clem has the best PvT, at least in the world, is definitely worth discussing. Again, just because he has been looking quite terrifying as Protoss, but here we go. We're settling in. We are going to be settling in for the time being. The Reaper does dip into the main. Going to be a Twilight Council opener out of Clem. Reaper does thread the mineral line, and it's going to be on Clem to minimize losses and to save his pro. So far, it does pull away well. The Adept does pop out, and the Reaper is deflected. So far, so good. So far, so good. As Clem, he does defend. Everyone said PvT was the worst matchup possible for Protoss. That was only the narrative for the first week or two of the patch. I do think that players did need some time to actually settle in and, you know, embrace Energy Overcharge and the new meta as well. Of course, with Energy Overcharge has given rise to more Storm-based play, more than Colossus-based play, for example. I mean, that's how Lancer beat Maru. If you weren't here for it, then you wouldn't have seen, but Lancer was very Gateway-heavy and very Storm-heavy as well, and he had Storm for days. It was crazy. It was we've been seeing a lot of, like, you know, 11 High Templar armies as of late. Astrea, of course, embracing them recently as well. But what I should emphasize as well, when it comes to Clem's switch to Protoss, at least in this matchup, I do think it just has more to do with the stability of this matchup more so than TvT. I mean, in general, typically mirror matchups are a little bit more of a gamble. I don't know if I want to say a gamble or like a toss-up sort of thing. There are definitely a lot more variables when it comes to mirror matchups. There's a reason why Cyril's weakest matchup, for example, is ZVZ. Clem's is TvT, you know, just happens to be the case for a lot of these matchups. And Clem, he's just avoiding TvT entirely. I think it has a little bit more to say about the Terran versus Terran matchup, more so than the Protoss versus Terran matchup. Regardless, Oliveira does move out, does hit the mineral line, going for the mine drop so far. Ooh, Clemmy does pull the boys, it does react in time. Ooh, does pull away, does not, and take the mine. Oh no! The other returning! Oh my god. Ooh, clutch moves there at a Clem. He does pull away in time. One probe goes down, two probes go down for 2 wins. A good trade here for Clem. He does react, he does respond well. That could have been disastrous, but he does settle in to his 2-base setup. And how many gateways? We have 2 gateways in the main. We have a gateway here at the natural, 3-gate blink into a third. So Clem is going to be expanding. He's going to be saturating and stabilizing on 3 bases. Is now moving out while he should be expanding behind this. We'll keep an eye on Clem. And yeah, you can see he's taking that triangular third. Let's go. Here we go. All the smart casters seem to say that TvT is a bit of a coin toss. That makes sense. Kind of. When it comes to TvT, there are a lot of builds and a lot of ways that you can play that does kind of keep things a little bit to chance. But here we go. We go for the dive. Bunker's going to go down. No tank here on the low ground. Oliveira is being overwhelmed. Marines are falling. SCBs are falling as well. Tank just now coming down to the low ground. Clem, he does pull away. Ooh, does overextend with the Prism. Regardless, still trading very well. Meanwhile, across the map, workers are going down. The Reapers wreaking havoc. 6 probe kills. Very nice damage. Very nicely done. 6 workers do go down. Meanwhile, Stim is denied. Clem finding a lot of damage. But I don't know what casters you're referring to. In general, most casters should say that all mirror matchups are more of a coin toss than any other matchup. I would say that that is applicable to TVT, ZVZ, and PvP as well. I would even say that... yeah, I think I would say that PvP is more of a coin toss than TVT, actually. But yeah, I think that's just a statement that's applicable to all mirror matchups. But we can get into that when we get into a mirror matchup itself. For now, so far, Clem is doing a lot of damage. Clem, he was able to break the natural earlier, was able to get some SV kills, was able to deny Stim. Now, the big part about denying Stim, of course, is that there is no counterattack now. Without Stim, Oliveira can't push out. He cannot break out of this contain. Clem, he blinks in, gets another tank, or gets his first tank, I should say. There was a second tank behind this, so nice punish here by Oliveira. Despite that, Clem, he does blink well. There's a backup bunker here on the low ground. Tank does reposition behind this. Clem getting his own third base fully saturated, and he wants that tank. He wants it, and he gets it. Tank does go down. Clem, he pulls away in time, bleeding out 2-3 stalkers. Does bleed out a couple of stalkers here in the process, but the tank count is being kept low. And that's the other thing. I was emphasizing how Stim was denied earlier, but also with the tank count getting lower and lower, that means that Clem, he's safer and safer from any kind of counterattack. It means that Oliveira, he isn't just stuck at home, he's going to be stuck at home for even longer here, and it's going to take so long for him to eventually break out. And this means that Clem has the freedom to tech up. Now we have the Bay on the way that's going to be for Colossus production, into 3 base saturation, into potentially a 4th base as well, as Oliveira tries to break out. Stim still not done. Nice scan here, takes out the Observer. And Oliveira at this point, because he's taking so much damage, he has a choice to make. Either he expands and throws down a 3rd CC now, or he pulls the boys and goes for a 2-base all-in. So what's it going to be? Oliveira, he is moving out. And he pulls the... Let's go! He made his choice. He pulls the boys. The Observer hasn't seen it yet, but you can see on the minimap we have an entire wave of workers. Yep, there we go. The workers are on the way. So Oliveira, because he took so much damage, he's all in. He's completely all in. Clem, he confirms the all in. He sees lack of saturation at the natural. And again, it was just one of 2 options here. It was either try to be hyper greedy behind this or just commit. And one way or another, the game is about to end. As Oliveira does Stim in. Does try to Stim in. Colossus production has begun, but the first Colossus has not arrived. Without a Colossus, Oliveira, he can pull this off. 1 tank goes down. There's 2 more tanks behind this. Stalkers are going down, and Oliveira, it looks like he has done it. He has broken through. The Colossus not ready in time, and the all-in is paying off, and the Robo is going to go down. Yeah, just in time here. Clem, he did well for himself, but unfortunately, no Colossus, no splash damage, no force fields or sentries either back at home. And Oliveira, he's pushing in. He's busting into the 3rd, busting into the natural. There are Zealot reinforcements though, and Clem, he's still in this. His main army did crumble. But again, that was 20 SCVs going down. Time is on Clem's side. Can he buy time for extra warp-ins? Once again, boys being pulled. Comes in from behind, gets 1, gets 2 of the tanks, gets all 3. Wow, and Clem, he holds. Yeah, Clem, he holds on. Takes down all the tanks. Oh, the Immortal does go down. Very close. Up. It's a very close fight. Can Oliveira do it? With reinforcements, he can. He may have lost all his tanks, but he barely has enough workers, enough Marines, enough Marauders. Boys are being pulled. Very clutch defense. Yeah, more boys are being pulled here for Clem. He can't afford to lose them. But Oliveira, he barely has enough. Yeah, just barely. The natural base is going to be broken. Oh. Clem, he's still up in workers. Bear that in mind as well. He has a force field. Does force field the ramp. Very nicely done. And Clem, he will take down the natural. And from here, Clem, he can back off and go for the 3rd. Bring that down as well. And just contain Clem on 1 base. As Clem, he's running out of money, running out of steam. He doesn't have money here for extra warp-ins. Oliveira. Yeah, and from here, he doesn't have to push into the main. I do think that it's a mistake to try to force your way into the main base. From here, Oliveira, he can back off and hit that 3rd. forcing the army out into the open. Oh, force fields were okay, but they only got one Marine. And yeah, Clem is locked out. Takes down one Medivac, takes down two. GG gets called, and Oliveira, he fights back. He takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. A very, very intense game number 1. Again, Oliveira was being torn apart. He had to commit to the all-in. Now, there's a couple of important things about this all-in. First things first, remember, Oliveira, he sniped the Observer. He sniped the Observer as his main army was moving out, and Clem did not see the all-in. I should say, he recognized the all-in was happening after he had gone across the map with his Zealot drop. So it was a bit of a later scout of the all-in. With that as well, Clem, if you remember, his Colossus was halfway done by the time the river went down. Honestly, if Clem had one Colossus out in time, yo, Clem, he'd be tweeting. My God. But if Clem, if he had that first Colossus out, I think he holds. I think he holds 100%. I mean, you saw how close the fight was. Alas, did not come out in time, was shut down, and Oliveira, he barely pulled off the all-in. And with that, Oliveira, he is 1 game away from taking down Clem. Let's go. Whew. Let us go. Again, I feel like a lot of people in recent times do sleep on Oliveira, just because Oliveira has not been competing in a lot of major events. What I'm referring to is, for example, Home Story Cup. Oliveira, he wasn't at Home Story Cup. Likewise, Oliveira, he's not the most active player in online tournaments. He was playing in the December Alima League finals, that is true. He does play in the Alima League, but in a lot of these Open Cups and Wardy events, for example, Oliveira doesn't really compete too often. So I do feel like a lot of people, they do kind of underrate him, but Oliveira is straight up one of the best Terran players in the world. I would say top 3. I think I would place Oliveira just below like Clem and Maru. I would place Oliveira above Bjorn, above Cura, for example. Like, Oliveira is a very strong contender, and here we go. We're getting to our next game, and in the bottom right-hand corner, we have Clem for Team Liquid. And in the top left, we have Oliveira for Weibo Gaming. Let us go. Going to be settling in. Just catching on the chat. There are several Korean Terrans that are especially good in TVT. That is true. There are certain specialists in certain matchups. For example, I would say that, like, for example, like Solar, he was a ZVZ sniper for a while. Ryung and Gumiho are very strong in TVT, for example. When it comes to PvP, Zoun, I would say Zoun is a PvP specialist. That is true. But for the most part, I would say that in all cases, mirror matchups are the most difficult to really be consistent in. Maybe that's the best way of putting it. There's a lot of my games that come into play. A lot more variables as well, which does make it a more difficult matchup. But now though, we're settling in. We do have Oliveira going for a more economic opener, racks into expansion, CC on the low ground. And we just see Clem being as annoying as possible, delaying the CC for a second or two, not for too much longer there. Just being a bit of a nuisance, did force a second SE down to the low ground, and from here we can settle on in. Now, what I will say coming into Whispers of Gold is the rush distance by ground is shorter, so if Oliveira is forced, or if he embraces a 2-base all-in here on Whispers of Gold, it will hit harder, it will hit faster compared to Amygdala. So bear that in mind as well. Aggression is going to be favored on this map. Here we go. Truly the xenophobe. He won't fight his own race or he plays his Protoss. He doesn't play his own race because he wants to win, man. Ay. Maru and Cure also. I would rate Gumiho and Ryung's TVT stronger than Maru and Cure's. Would rate it higher. I would say that maybe it benefits a lot of the Korean Terran players that there are more, of course, top tier Korean Terrans in Korea that they play against more often. I'm sure that's maybe a factor as to why there are certain Terran players in Korea that are stronger in that matchup. I'm sure that is a factor. As for now, we are going to be settling in. So far, another Blink-based opener out of Clem. Working towards Blink, throwing down extra gateways. And so far, we do have a decent trade here. Clem able to catch out. Oh, the Reaper and the Hellion. Oh, we'll take a mind shot to the face, though. Do have a more back-and-forth trade. I'm sure Oliveira coming out a lot more content, able to shut down those initial Adepts, and can now move out with his own drop play. You can see 2 Adepts for 1 Reaper, 1 Hellion. Better trade for Oliveira. Is a better trade for the Terran. Moving out with his drops. Second racks behind this, as we did have the initial 1-1-1 opener into drop play. Now, upon losing those Adepts, that does mean that Clem has less map control. He has less map awareness, and the drop comes in, and Clem is out of position. Does rotate, does respond. Probe's going to be going down. Widowmine's repositioning. Clem, he does respect it, does pull away in time. Trying to bait out that mine shot. Takes down one of the Widowmines. Nicely done. And he should take down the other as well. Very meticulous control here out of Clem. Doesn't lose a single probe. Did lose mining time, but again, very nice defense there by Clem. Very clinical play. Protects his main, forces back Oliveira, and now Clem gains map control. And here we go. We have our 3-gate setup, 3-gate blink, once again, 2 games in a row. And we saw how effective this was for Clem. Clem, he was killing Oliveira in game 1, which is why Oliveira had to go all in. And we'll see how successful Clem's going to be this time. As he moves out Oliveira, he does dip back in. 4 Marines and a medevac. Going for the mineral line. Clem, he does have some Stalkers back at him to defend. He will zone the army away. At the same time, diving into main dot stim. Going for the Avalons, delaying tank production. First Sec Lab goes down. Raven under fire. No shot. He gets the Raven. Raven goes down as well. Ay, ay, ay. And very nice control here. Clem doesn't lose a single Stalker. Stim is still on the way, but Clem can always dive back in. The tank has arrived, though. Clem does spot it with the Observer. He is aware. Going for the dive. Tank is repositioning. Stim once again under threat, and he's gonna get it. Oh my god, that takes down both tech labs. Ay, ay, ay. Both tech labs go down, and Clem can always go back in and deny once again. Tech labs are exposed. Do see Clem. Another important factor here coming into this is that Clem, he did take a much faster third base. The third Nexus is a lot faster this time for Clem. Likewise across the map. Oh, also, I don't think I actually opened up predictions. My apologies if I didn't. Oh, no, I did. Okay. We're good. Did open them earlier. As he does dive into the natural, gets a tank. This is a bold dive here out of Clem. A very bold dive. Got the tank. Takes down the bunker. Not quite. The prism goes down. Oliveira holds. Oliveira, he does hold on, just barely takes down the War Prison, denies any reinforcements. Behind this, though, Clem is teching. He's got his third base up and running. He has the Forger +1. He's got, of course, Charge on the horizon as well. Gateway Explosion. Clem, this time not going into Colossus, this time very Gateway-centric. So Clem is adjusting his follow-up. And I do like this, actually. I do think that a more Zealot-heavy composition is going to fare a little bit better. Dives into the main, tank is in position, Stalker's going down. This is not the best trade for Clem. Barely out of range of the tank. Pulls away. Nice scan, takes down the Observer. Oliveira, he's holding. Stim is halfway done, and he does sneak out with a drop. And again, without a War Prism, I don't think that Clem can really threaten the main base anymore. Not the same way that he once did. He is tempted, but yeah, shouldn't find much damage here. Back at home, do we have a warp in? As it looks like the drop does come in. There we go, warping back at home. 3 Stalkers. Oliveira, he picks up, gets the hell out of there. Remember, Oliveira did not have Stim. Just now finishing. And now Oliveira breaks out. Now the question becomes, yep, 2-base all in. I was about to say, has Oliveira taken too much damage? The answer is yes. So once again, 2-base all in out of Oliveira. Colossus production has begun. It's more than halfway done at this point. We need some Stellar Warpins though. And I believe Clem, he has not seen the SCVs. Remember, the Observer got sniped again. So Clem, he does not see the SCVs. But this time, that's a lot of Zealots. Is it enough though? As again, it's all or nothing for Oliveira. One way or another, the game is about to end. Colossus has arrived. Tanks are a little bit late to siege. Yeah, the first tank goes down, second tank as well. And there's one tank left behind this. But he does pull away in time. Protects the Colossus. Yeah, the tanks are a little bit too far back. Oh. And just now sieging up, and this time Clem, he's holding. This time he gets on top of the tanks. They both go down, there's just not enough left over. This time a much stronger defense here by Clem. GG gets called, and Clem, he ties up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. And again, a much better response here by Clem in the lead up to the 3-base aggression. Remember, Clem, he got a much faster third Nexus. He got faster saturation. He did prioritize charged up production back at home. If you remember this time as well, he did not try to counterattack with Zealots. That was arguably one of the downsides of game 1, is that he did spend supply across the map attacking a mineral line that didn't exist, that wasn't quite there. So he had everything back at home. The Colossus this time was much earlier as well. So again, just a much cleaner setup here back at home for Clem compared to game 1. And this is the problem when it comes to going for all-ins at this level of play, is that I love the idea of going for an all-in at some point in the series, but relying on it multiple times, it's difficult to make work. Whether you're up against Clem, whether you're up against Cure, Björn, again, any of these top-level players, I mean, the chances are they're going to be much more mentally prepared for this in the upcoming games in the series. So it is risky to rely on the same kind of strategy multiple times in a best of, and with that, we're going to the ace match. With that, we're going all the way to game 3, and we're gonna be loading into the largest map in the map pool, loading into Neon Violet Square. Oh boy. Now, because of how large this map is, we should not be seeing a 2-base all-in. We should not be seeing at least that form of aggression out of Oliveira. I mean, we could still see a proxy at the start of the game. True, we could open up like proxy Reaper or something like that. Like, there are ways to be aggressive on Neon Violet Square, but specifically pulling the boys and going 2-base all-in, that should not be seen here. We should see something different out of Oliveira. From the side of Clem, likewise, blink aggression isn't as impactful or isn't as effective on this map. If I recall correctly, because of the ravine surrounding the main base, blinking into the main isn't as viable. So this 3-gate blink aggression isn't going to be as powerful, so we should be seeing something different from Clem as well. So here we go. In the top left-hand corner, we have Clem, the French Protoss. In the bottom right, we have Oliveira, the Chinese Terran. Let's go. As we settle into the ace match. And again, because of those defensive features, because of the gap outside of the main base, because of the pocket natural as well, the pocket base expansion, I should say, because how large the base is or the map is as well, this all leads into longer game states. We typically see a lot of macro game, a lot of late game on Neon Violet Square, which is also why it's often vetoed. So I'm surprised to see that this was not vetoed in this series. This is one of the most vetoed maps in the map pool. I don't know the stats. I don't know if it's either El Dorado or Neon Violet Square. They are the top 2 vetoed maps. I'm not entirely certain which one is more vetoed than the other, but they're both at least top 2. So we rarely get to see them. And here we go, double gas. Okay, double gas opener out of Oliveira. He does go for a fake proxy Rax. And Clem, he will not spot it, not initially. Now this is a little bit more old school. This used to be seen a lot more a couple of years ago, but it is not uncommon for a Terran player to hide their first Rax and to hide it either further back in the main, in the natural, at the 3rd, or at the 4th location. So we can see here that Oliveira, he's going for a fake proxy Rax. He's trying to force Clem to overreact and to over-respond. And coming into this, if you remember, one of the possibilities of Neon Violet Square that I did mention at the start of the game is Proxy 2 Rax. Like, that is a possible, like, viable build on this map. Ooh, and we're going for a 1-base all-in. That is a Rax into Factory. We'll see if Oliveira gets a natural. He could still expand, but if Oliveira throws down, like, a Starport or a Rax, it's going to be a 1-base all-in. Oh, boy. So I'm curious. I'm curious if Oliveira expands or not. For now, the racks and the factory are hidden, so once again, he's kind of like selling the story that there is a committed proxy. Clem, he recalls back home. Back at him, Clem, he still expands, still goes to the Nexus, and he should be scouting nearby with at least his probes. Clem, you can see him scratching. He scratched his head there. Clem, he's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Yep, 1-1-1, 1 base all in. Okay, so technically we were correct in saying that we shouldn't be seeing a 2 base all in, and we're not seeing a 2 base all in. This is a setup for a 1 base all in instead. Very committed, and we'll see how Clem responds. Ooh, he's going for a Stargate opener. That is a little bit risky here. Stargate play early on, it's really good for a late game setup. It gives you map control, it shuts down drop play, it harasses mineral lines, but against a 1 base all in, this can be a very tricky defense here for Clem, just because Phoenixes, for example, there's going to be a very low amount of Phoenixes, and they are very limited in what they can do because they can lift units, that is true, but once they run out of energy, what can they do, right? Like, what can they do when they help defend against a 1 base all in? Oracles, likewise, they can be effective, but they're also NG based as well, so again, it's all NG based units, and this early on, there's only going to be a handful of them, so I'm concerned for Clem. There it is. It's going to be a Phoenix opener. Out of the Marines, they get scouted. Adept does somewhat confirm what's going on. Checks the gold and does confirm the 1-1-1. Now he knows. He knows it's going to be a 1 base all in. I feel like we need Void Rays. I mean, the Phoenix will help. It can lift the tank. That is true. We'll see what Clem, if he commits. Yep. Okay. Additional Phoenix production. He's making more Phoenixes. Throwing down more gateways. I mean, Phoenixes, they can at least shut down the medevac. Speaking of, the medevac does get spotted. And will Clem have enough support on the ground? As the Phoenix is zoned away. More tanks are in production, of course. And again, the tanks, they can be crowd control, but it's about the ground army, right? Sure, you can lift the tanks, but is there enough on the ground to kill the tanks as boys are being pulled? As we mentioned, again, 1 base all in. Reinforcements getting called out. Phoenixes that need to race back home. And again, you can see Phoenixes, they waste or they spend their energy lifting 1 Marine at a time. There is going to be an edgy overcharge. And we need those lifts on the tanks. So far, Clem fighting out of range of the tanks, not bad. And does he commit? He does. He does just commit onto the army. Liberator goes down. The tanks, they hold their own. The Adepts are falling left and right. And this is what I was concerned about. It looks like Oliveira, he has enough. He's pushing through. Stalkers, they're coming to reinforce, though. And 1 tank is going to fall. The boys are being pulled. Can Clem hold? Up, up. It's going to be close. He can. Just barely gets 1 more lift. The final tank is going to fall. I say that. Another tank comes in to reinforce. And every probe is going down. Oh, my God. Clem losing every single worker here. But he survives. That's what's important. He barely does survive. Viking lands. Tank should be going down. Just a couple more hits, couple more shots. There's the NG overcharge. Whew. And GG gets called. A very clutch defense here. Oliveira smiling towards the end, and Clem, he takes the series 2-1. GG, well played. Clem does take it. You can see he's very elated, clearly. But Clem does take the series and does take down Oliveira. GG, well played. Whew. And with that, that's our first series in here for the day. Oh, sorry, just quickly setting up the scoreline and paying out the predictions. I got you. And with that, we're heading into our next matchups here. Up next, we have Oliveira versus Spirit in a TVT, followed by Clem versus Zoun in a TVP. We have 2 matches remaining here in the broadcast. Let's go. And from here on forward, Clem should be playing Terran. Again, Clem, he only plays Protoss against other Terran players. The reason for this is his TVT is his weakest matchup. It is a very difficult matchup to really be a specialist in. So Clem, his answer, the Protoss might be the Protoss. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of Clem's Protoss tomorrow against Spirit, as there's another Terran player here, so we'll be seeing some more Protoss down the line, don't you worry. For now, we're going to be going on a short break. When we come back, we should have Oliveira versus Spirit. This should be a TVT. See you soon. See you soon. Whew. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, oh, we may have just lost Oliveira. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the second match of the night. Welcome to Coliseum 8 Group D, day number 1. We just wrapped up with Clem versus Oliveira. Now we are here with Oliveira versus Spirit in a TVT. Again, we have many other competitors in this group, not just Clem and Oliveira, but Spirit and Zoun as well. And last series, we were robbed of the TVT. Now we can embrace it. The Terran versus Terran is upon us. Game 1 is going to be an El Dorado. Game 2, Amygdala. And Game 3, I don't quite remember. We're jumping into Game 1. I was reading them out. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have... Oh my god! Wait, what? In the bottom left, we have Spirit. In the bottom right, he has been inspired. He has seen the light, Papi. Oh my god, it isn't just Clem. It isn't just Rainer. It is Spirit as well. Sorry, it is Oliveira as well as Oliveira. He is playing Protoss. Oh boy. We're never going to see a TVT again. Let's go. If you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Now, we have seen certain players off race before. Like, I've casted Dark play Protoss. I've casted Hero play Terran, for example. I've casted Chan play Terran. I have never casted Oliveira play Protoss, though. So I'm curious to see how this goes. I'm curious to see what his skill level is with his Protoss. Oh, boy. So best of luck in the chat. Really... have we begun a trend? You know, again, like, it is not unheard of for players to play Protoss instead of mirror matchups. As I mentioned before, Rainer, for example, Jim Rising is another big example. Eva, of course, is an example. There's a lot of examples of Zerg players playing Protoss to avoid ZVZ. Now that Clem has also taken the initiative, are we going to be seeing a rise in Terran players also play Protoss instead to avoid TVT? Have we begun a trend? Is it possible? A year from now in StarCraft, like 2026, are mirror matchups gonna be like abolished, and it's just purely Protoss versus like whoever plays their main race, or does everything turn into PvPs? Like, is that where we end up? Is that the future of StarCraft? Just pure PvPs? Oh no, not like this. For now, though, we're settling in. For now, we are going to be settling into our openers. Spirit does SCV Scout. See, this is where I would have loved to have seen Spirit's camera. I would have loved to have seen his camera here. I mean, I say that Spirit, he is notorious for not really having, you know, much emotion. Like, be out there, he's not the most emotive of players, so maybe he wouldn't have had a reaction or response anyway, but it would have been nice to have seen, you know, maybe like a little smirk, or maybe like the eyes widening a little bit, and at least some acknowledgement to the fact that Oliveira is playing Protoss. Regardless, it's fine, it's fine. As we get into our matchup, Twilight Council opener out of Oliveira, working towards Blink. Meanwhile, we do see Spirit across the map getting into his own CC, getting his own CC, his own economic opener, as Spirit did open up Rax Expand. Here we go. No one wants to play TVT. No one. That's what I mean, though. Like, what do we do? Like in my world, like in my mind, I'm picturing a future, right? I'm picturing a future where no one wants to play TVTs, and we end up in a scenario where it's like a game of chicken, where it's like one, like it's like, imagine like Cure versus Beyond, and they both want to play Protoss, but they don't want to play PvP. So it's like, who gets to play Terran and who gets to play Protoss? Like, that's what I'm envisioning. I'm like, I can see them both like in like the lobby chat, like arguing, like I want to play Protoss. It's like, no, I want to play Protoss. It's like, but I don't want to play PvP. And then you like play a game of chicken to see like what race they land on coming into the game. Like, who gets to play Protoss but avoid PvP, but also avoid TVT as well. And like, you got all this, no. The drama. Is that the future? We'll see. For now, we're getting into our 1-1-1. Going to be a Banshee-based opener out of Spirit. So Banshee's going to be on the way. Hellion Harass here towards the natural. There is a shield battery, though, and not too much damage is being done here, but some of the pros, they line up. Yeah, they do line up. Out of range, the shield battery pros are finally going to be going down, and two Hellions, they bust into the main. Oliveira is getting pulled apart. Does have some stalkers in position, but workers are falling. Ooh, and they line up once again. 7 probes. And he's not done. He is not done. 9 probes. 10 probes going down. And this early on at this level of play, this is too much damage. 10 worker kills again. Oliveira, he had a decent defense at his third base, but in the main base, again, he was just out of position. It did take him one second too long to respond in time, and Spirit isn't done. Cloak, I believe, has been researched, and the Observer's on the way. Until it does get in position, this Banshee is going to wreak havoc. Oh boy. The one Observer has arrived, it's rallied across the map, but we're going to have to recall back into the main. As that one Observer is the only form of detection that Oliveira has. Banshee dips in, and probes are going down. Do we have a recall? The Observer is still not quite on the way. No, it doesn't turn around. Oh, there's a recall. There's a recall back home. 7 more probe kills. And that's going to be 8, it's going to be up to 9, going to be up to 10, that's going to be 11? 12? Not quite 12. 11 probes. You know what that means? That means 21 workers. 21 workers have gone down. Between the Hellion Harass and the Banshee Harass, that is game-ending damage. Like those are losses you cannot afford, not against a player of the caliber of Spirit. And with that Spirit, he's gearing up. He is ahead. He's ahead economically, going to be ahead in the army. Now, Spirit most likely will not move out without Stim. As you can see, Stim is still on the way, +1 is still on the way, so Oliveira, he has time to try to recover in some way. He can go for like DT counterattack, War Prism harass, he can be active with his Stalkers. There are ways to bounce back in this game, but it is going to be difficult. And again, he's going to have to rely on Spirit making mistakes. As Oliveira is behind. Straight up, he is behind at this point, and he is working towards Storm. Another way to come back in this game would have been to rush into Disruptors, or rushing into Storm. And there is a world where if Spirit doesn't split well enough, if he doesn't control well enough, he may lose his army to a handful of Storms. Like, there is still potential for Oliveira to bounce back in this game, even being down in supply. But there is a lot working against him. So if our Spirit getting his 3rd CC, not a 2-base all-in, he is gearing up. That's why we force everyone to go random. I mean, this is where I have to push back, because I remember last time he casted Clem playing Protoss, there was some people like, yo, is there a world where Clem becomes the first pro random player? I would push back against that and say, if anything, he's going to play anything but random, because like he's intentionally trying to avoid matchups, and playing random means that there is a chance that he plays the matchup that he wants to avoid, right? Like, so if anything, Clem would be like a race picker sort of thing, where even if he becomes like as good as this Terran with Zerg and Protoss, he would like specifically pick races and pick matchups, I should emphasize. As here we go, Storm, the splits against the Storms. Oh my god, the Storms, they do pop off. 1, 2 Storms gonna be landing, there's another Storm. But despite the Storms, Spirit, he's still pushing in. As he's making his way into the natural, deep-powering the gateways, busting into the mineral lines, probes are going to be going down. No Storms quite available yet, but the bio is overstimmed, is very battered, very bruised. Last the natural taking a little hits though, and he's going for the Nexus. Can he get it? Up! Can he get the base? Oliveira, he's holding, shuts down the bio, barely saves the Nexus. Oh my god, 100 HP. Does survive. I think this is 100. And with that, Spirit, he's being forced back. Mindshell going off. Ooh, brutal connections. The Observers, they barely survive. But GG gets called as reinforcements, they rally across the map, and Spirit takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Rainer's the world's first pro random? You mean, that's a weird way of spelling balloon. What are you talking about? Hi. But Spirit, he does take game number 1, and I'm curious to see if Oliveira commits to Protoss. Now, what I will say is that game 1 didn't really show us Oliveira's skill in Protoss, just because he was playing from behind. The reality is he was just straight up playing from behind the entire game. After losing 21 probes, I mean, even put Maxfax in that position, even put Hero in that position, the outcome would most likely be the same. Just too far behind at that point to really keep up with Spirit. So if Oliveira can have a cleaner early game, if he can get into the mid game in a good position, I look forward to seeing how he compares to Spirit. I want to see. Here we go. It's confusing to me because I remember watching somebody else say allowed the Flash to play a different race. They did allow that to happen. Did happen. Would be fun if they do in a feature where if you pick a race, your opponent doesn't know what you picked. Oh, I'm not fond of that idea just because the veto process is usually very much so reliant on knowing what race you're playing against and what matchup you're playing in. Like a lot of the veto process is centered around that. So I feel like a lot would have to change if something like that were implemented. Meanwhile, top right we have Oliveira, bottom left we have Spirit. Let's go. As Oliveira, he commits into Protoss, and again, I'm hoping for a cleaner early game. I want to see how Oliveira's Protoss compares to Spirit. I'm sure he's playing it for good reason, and I want to see him take down Spirit. I want to see it happen. I want an ace match. Give us an ace match, man. Give us an ace match. Rainer tried to win tournaments playing random, so did Balloon. Yeah, that's true. It is known Rainer was a big Balloon fan. Kappa. He was the only dedicated random, as far as I know. I think so. Yeah. For those who weren't watching in Heart of the Swarm, and even I'm not sure if he was active pre Heart of the Swarm, but Balloon, he was on My Insanity. He had really good English as well. You know, I remember I was a big fan of Balloon, watching him many a time at Home Story Cup, for example, in a lot of foreign events. Thanks to his good English, he would often like translate for other Koreans in the scene, like whenever interacting with foreigners or interviews, for example. A very good player. We miss our Balloon. I'll always remember the tug of war. I'll always remember the tug of war. Oh God, I can't quite remember the 5 players. Those 5 Koreans against Targa and Jeff. Good times. It was Balloon. It was Jack G. I think was Tasia there. I remember Jack G, maybe Daisy as well. Good times. But now though, I'm gonna be settling in. Is gonna be a Stargate opener instead of Twilight Council from Oliveira. Okay, you have my attention. So Stargate play into, I would imagine, Phoenixes, potentially Oracle. Interesting placement for that SCV, and we see why. Spirit, he's going for a proxy starport. Now, this could be one of 2 things. This could be a Hellion drop into the main. Hallucination does confirm the 1-1. Hallucination also confirms that the 3rd building is missing, but could it just be delayed? Or he sees! He knows. Whew, Oliveira, okay, he is aware of the proxy. Now, this could be a Hellion drop, or it could be a Hellion harassed into the natural with a proxy liberator. Both are viable, both are possible, either a proxy lib or medevac. Regardless, the starport is denied and will not complete. So nicely done here by Oliveira. Does shut down the initial build. Now, Hellions are still active. Hellions, they can still threaten the base. There we go, starport is cancelled. And do we have a force field? Oh, not quite. We force field the ramp. Hellions get locked down towards the natural. It takes 3 shots here to kill a probe. 1, 2, there's a 3rd shot. 1 probe goes down. He gets 1, he gets 2. 2 probe kills, not bad. 2 workers to 2 Hellions. I mean, ideally, Spirit did want a little bit of a more efficient trade. And with that, Oliveira, he should hold. And now we can embrace a longer game state. Now, Spirit, he throws down a CC, going for his 3rd command center in the main. Very greedy here, very fast 3rd base. Phoenixes, they do dip in. At the same time, Hellies, they bust into the main. Ooh, that should not have happened. They do get into the main base. 1 Hellion getting caught out. Probes falling in the main. Getting 2, getting up to... Ooh, 3 probe kills. So not the worst trades here out of Spirit. That's 5 probes for 4 Hellions. Again, ideally he did want something better there. Oliveira gains map control. And Oliveira going to try to punish Spirit. He does not quite get an SCV. Cyclone will zone the army back. So far, Spirit, he's holding on. Oliveira is being active, still looking for another way in. So far, the Cyclone's out of position. Oliveira does get into the main, doesn't quite delay the starport, but we'll get an SCV. Oh, the turret isn't done. Plus, Oliveira, he will back up. Doesn't risk it. From here, Oliveira getting his own third base. Storm is on the way, charge as well, getting to his own gateway explosion. So far, Oliveira at least holding his own. And again, like as I mentioned before, I've never witnessed Oliveira's PvT matchup. So I'm curious to see how he compares to Spirit in the mid game. Now, bearing in mind, Spirit did go for a very greedy build. He rushed into a third CC, and it wasn't really delayed. He didn't lose too many SCVs. So this is a very fast third base, and Spirit is going to get it up and running. And I would say that Oliveira, he has been unable to really punish it. Friends the main. Phoenixes, they shut down. Oh, they almost catch one of the Phoenixes. They get away in time. Stim has been delayed in favor of the third. I mean, a lot of the production was delayed as well. It's a very greedy play here by Spirit. Likewise, Marines are in position. As Oliveira, he does rally out. A bold move for Oliveira to be active like this. He does have a lot of High Templar, but bearing in mind there's no War Prism. There's no War Prism with this army. There's no reinforcements. Very risky considering Stim is about to finish. But Oliveira, he sees that mineral line. He wants it. He wants to make it rain. Wants to make it storm. Let's go. Getting a fourth base behind this. Fourth Nexus on the way for Oliveira. So Oliveira does get on top of the bunker. Bunker's going to go down. He wants that mineral line. He's holding onto those storms. So far, it doesn't quite commit. Yeah, not yet. Pulls away for now. Does pull away. Slow reinforcements as Oliveira is posturing outside the base. Do see Spirit going for the drop across the map. Pylon gets shut down. Double drop towards the third base. Oliveira not quite in position. And forced to recall. Thankfully does recall in time. The storm's going off. Feedbacks as well. Oliveira holds. Oliveira, he does hold on. You know what? Spirit's still building up. Medevac gets hunted down. Both Medevacs even. Takes out the Medevacs, bleeds out the Phoenixes in the process. Spirit, he rotates, he responds. That's a brutal minefield here that is set up. And Spirit, he still has that supply lead, and the big reason for this is because of how fast his third base was. But not going for these main pushes, though, instead of going for drop play. So triple drop towards the right. Oliveira does split up his army, at least he tries to. He's distracted by the main army. Most of the army does respond. Recalls on cooldown, and Oliveira is out of position. And Probe's going to be falling. Oliveira, he's trying to respond. And that's going to be 14 workers going down. Not like 15 workers even. And he's being pulled apart. At this point, he's being pulled apart completely here. The mineral line goes down, drop into the main. Nice storm drops on the main army. The storms are good, but is it enough? And I'm not sure it is. The drop is still active. Ghosts have arrived. EMPs are available. Oh, another storm. The storm goes off as we hear the muffled screams of our Marauder. Ay, ay, ay. The Marauder calm down and GG gets called as again it's just too much to handle, and Spirit Team will take the series at 2-0, taking down Oliveira. GG, well played. Shout out to Oliveira though for of course embracing something a little bit different, for playing the Protoss matchup instead. And again, I'm not really too familiar with his Protoss, so I'm not, and even coming into this game as well, like it was just a really awkward opener for Oliveira. Spirit, he did respond in such a greedy fashion, got away with a fast third base, took a supply lead as well, and Oliveira was not able to keep up with the drop play with the harassment of Spirit. He was torn apart. So GG, well played. Spirit does take it, and now we have one series left in tonight's broadcast. Up next after the break, Clem versus Zoun. Now, every series so far, we've had to adjust these race logos, and we haven't really gotten what we expected. Here, it should be another TVP. Pure TVPs tonight. Just nothing but Protoss, nothing but Terran. Let's go. And this match should be much more competitive as well, of course. Zoun, this is one of his strongest matchups. Zoun, he's of course recently returning from the military, and I would say that Zoun's best matchups are PvP and PvT. PvZ is his weakest matchup, is where Zoun struggles the most, but I don't see a Zerg player here. I don't see a Zerg opponent. I see only Terran and Protoss, so Zoun, he can do quite well here. I want to believe. I want to believe he can contest and he can threaten Clem. We'll be back after the break with the final best of 3. See you soon. See you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the final series of the night, to our final best of 3 here in Massive Coliseum 8, Group D, day number 1. As you just saw, the historic matchups between these two players. Zoun did defeat Clem recently, did take him down 2-1. I believe that was either in a, I think that was in a Lima League. I think that was either in a Lima League or Wardy TV Monday. I can't quite recall which one. I believe it was a Lima League like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So again, Zoun, he has defeated Clem in the best of 3 before. Can he do it again? And yes, I do recall it was a crazy matchup. Yes, Zoun versus Clem in Lima League, I think in the beginning of December. But regardless, here we go. We're jumping into our next matchup. And in the top right hand corner, sorry, bottom right, we have Clem for Team Liquid. Off racing is Terran. And in the top left hand corner, we have Zoun, the South Korean Protoss. Let's go. If you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series. Best of luck in the chat, as again, this could go either way. We have seen Zoun defeat Clem in recent times before. Can he do it again? Clem is still the reigning champion. Of course, Clem is still the favorite player to make it out in first place in this group. But we'll see. We'll see if he can pull it off and bring Zoun down. We'll see if Clem can get his revenge. Here we go. Clem looking like Lord Farquaad. He has grown out his hair. That's true. the luscious locks. They're coming out, baby. Let's go. Oh no. Will it keep going? Who's the other player that recently grew out their hair? I'm thinking of can he get his hair as long and as luscious as Drogo, right? I think that was something that caught me off guard. I think like last year or whenever we saw Drogo again. Like Drogo, he's a lot less active, but again, modern Drogo, he's got a lot going on. It's crazy. But Drogo, yeah. Like Drogo, he looks very different nowadays compared to how he used to look back when he used to compete full time. The hair, it's luscious, pap. Luscious. Aye. But best of luck in the chat. Predictions are open for another minute. So best of luck in the chat. Get your predictions going while you can. As we are settling in, we do have a Clem going double gas. Interesting. So double gas opener out of Clem. This means something more aggressive, something more active, more tech heavy. That means a faster factory. Factory's on the way before CC. And a Zoun back at him, just opening up a gate expand into gate cyber expand. Standard opener out of Zoun, opening up Senji first into hallucination scouts. Here we go. Interesting move from Zoun, late Nexus. Going for the Nexus after Cybercore isn't too unheard of in this matchup. As Hallucination does move out, does get eyes on the setup, is fully aware. It is going to be a Stargate opener out of Zoun. This, I feel like, is a little bit risky. So typically, Stargate play is seen on larger maps. I'm referring to Neon Violet Square, Abyssal Reef, King's Cove. These larger maps, it is safer to open up with a Stargate. On smaller maps, I feel like it is risky as you are vulnerable to something like a 2-base all-in. Now, this is Clem. It's not Oliveira, right? So, I mean, we could see a more standard game out of Clem. True, but there is still that potential here once Clem realized what's going on. As we saw, Reaper dipped into the main, but the Stargate was not seen. So far, so good here from Zoun. It does hide his tech. Hallucination gets across the map. Will tank a mine shot. Oh, not quite, but does get eyes on the 1-1-1. Third TC on the way. Greedy moves here out of Clem. Going for a very fast third TC. Sorry, for some reason I thought it was a third TC. Going for the natural base. Again, later natural. My apologies. I need to step in. It's been a chaotic day. My apologies. Getting to his 1-on-1. Medevac hasn't spotted. Zoun, he is aware of the potential drop. And he is setting up his Phoenixes. So he has 1, soon to be 2 Phoenixes, and with this, Zoun should shut down the Medevac itself. As he's got his 3rd Phoenix on the way. Zoun is preparing. Clem moving out, boosting towards the natural. But there is a ground army as well. The Cyclone can complicate things. As Clem does push in, Phoenix from behind, lifts up both the Cyclone and the Widowmine as well. Very nice pickups. And with that, Zoun, he'll defend. He will shut this down, takes down all the high-tech units, takes down the Medevac as well. So a very nice defense here by Zoun, completely shuts this down, and with that, Zoun has gained map control. Now, from here, we can go a couple of different ways. We can go Phoenix into Colossus, which is a very old school composition, you know, referring back to 2022, even early 2023. We can see it is not a Robo, it is not a Bay, it's going to be Phoenix into Twilight Council. I would imagine into Charge. I mean, just because typically Phoenixes and Stalkers, they have the same role, but if you can see here, okay, we're still going back to Phoenixes, this should be Charge. And the tank goes down! Yeah, the tank is exposed, the tank will fall, massive pickoff. Repairs not in time. And Zoun, he's bullying Clem here. He's like, mate, why'd you switch back to Terran? I thought you want to win games, Pappy. Oh my god. Liberator across him, not bad, denying mining time in the main. At the same time, it looks like the Phoenix cannon is going to be reset. Ooh, barely does fall. And there we go, Charge is in production. But these have been some rough losses here for Zoun. Losing mining time, losing all the Phoenixes, still picking up some more SCVs. Getting 2 workers so far. But Zoun doesn't have enough to really break the natural itself. Second Viking does land. First Viking gets picked off. Not bad. Ooh, another Stalker does fall though. Phoenix comes in to reinforce. Cyclone has arrived. And the army is forced to recall. Clem holds. Clem does hold. It was a chaotic hold, don't get me wrong. It was very chaotic, but Clem, he does hold the line. Back at home, Zoun, he was expanding. Third base is now done. But he did lose a lot of Phoenixes. So the map control that Zoun should have isn't really there anymore. At this stage of the game, he should have 5-6 Phoenixes. He should be containing Clem and picking off SCVs. But because of how aggressive Zoun was, because the momentum was inside, and because he overextended, I mean, he's kind of lost that here. So he has to rebuild those Phoenixes, and Clem, he can get away with delaying those turrets. The turrets are just now being thrown down, but they were delayed. And again, Clem isn't really in too much danger, he's losing more SCVs. So Clem is quite secure. Meanwhile, gateway explosion for Zoun, building up his gateways, getting up to, I think, 7, soon to be 8 gates. Regardless, building up. Getting to charge production, of course, or into charge lots, as charge is already done. If I'm not mistaken, I believe there is no forge. I don't think there's a forge yet, which is interesting to say the least. Oh, speaking of forge, there it is. First forge is on the way. So Zoun is thinking further ahead. If we went any longer without a forge, I would assume that Zoun was going for an all-in. But now that there's a forge, okay, that means we are teching up, we're investing into upgrades, another gateway's on the way. From here, we can start working towards the Templar Archives, 4th expansion, and Storm. I'm sure that's on the horizon for Zoun. And now just focusing on charge lots and Phoenixes. Meanwhile, Clem, he moves out. A bit of an early move out here from Clem. We'll see what he can find. Meanwhile, a big shout to Sort of Gab. Thank you so much, Sort of. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Hope you had a great time. And welcome one and all to Master Coliseum 8. We are here towards the tail end of the broadcast. We just wrapped up with 2 of our matches with Clem versus Oliveira and with Oliveira versus Spirit. And this is the final best of 3 of the night, Clem versus Zoun. We're here in game 1. Unfortunately, no Zerg players tonight. I do apologize. No Zerg representation here, though. We'll get some Zerg gameplay tomorrow. We'll get there. For now, Zoun reinforces. Going to be skirting around the edge of the map. Does avoid the main army. Oh. Will threaten the natural. Clem, he does turn back around. Yeah, he's getting caught out. Widowmine's shot not quite going off on the Stalker. Zelta collapsed on the main army. Zelta going down, and Clem is getting caught out here completely. Forced to pick up, forced to get the hell out of here. Has to pull away. And Zoun can go for the kill. He's up in supply. Again, has maintained that lead throughout this game. Collapsing her into the natural, and Clem is in trouble. The boys are being pulled. Mine shot going off, taking down 3 Zealots. But SCVs are going down. Again, nice hold position micro out of Zoun, getting 18 SCVs. And getting even more. Again, how dare you off-race against Zoun? I mean, 24 SCV kills here at the natural. Pushing further in, forcing friendly fire out of those Widow Mines. And even if Clem holds on to the main base, he's lost so much here. He's down to 30 SCVs. Less than half the worker count of Zoun. And Clem scans. He sees saturation at the third base. He sees how far behind he is. Zoun now working on his splash damage. Blink is on the way, +1. Bay as well to work towards Colossus. And Zoun, for the most part, he has broken Clem. I mean, the Widowmines should help clean things up, but Clem is just taking so many economic losses. And Zoun's not stopping. Just keeps swarming in. Here we go. We sort of have lack of Zerg and SC. Oh, I see what you did there. Not like this. As Zoun pushes in. And again, pushing into this main base, I mean, Zoun is overextending a little bit, does force a bit of friendly fire. But Clemmy's holding. He's holding on. Zoun's still just continuing to warp in. But for the most part, Zoun, I feel like he has to just calm things down, consolidate his army, build up his Colossus, get into his upgrades. But Zoun, he just wants to kill. He just wants to send it. Yeah, just keep traveling in. Boys are being pulled once again. Losses that Clem cannot afford. Well, only 2 SCVs though. Not bad. Clem, he's holding. Zoun, he takes a 4th and a 5th base. Double expanding. Taking more bases. Clem attempting to take his own 3rd. And again, Zoun, all he has to do is just consolidate his army, wait for Colossi. As they are in production, 2nd Robo's on the way. Clem going for a Doom Drop. Moving out with 3 Medivacs. Now, unfortunately, that is most of Clem's army, and we could end up in a weird base trade, but the problem is, of course, Zoun could always recall. He can always recall back home if need be. Drop comes in. Goes to the mineral line. There's the recall. A recall on top of the army. The Colossus is going to be targeted down. The Colossus will fall. Ooh, just barely. But Zoun will still clean this up. He will still clean this up. At the same time, takes down 14 SCVs across the map. Zoun, he holds, he defends, and he attacks. May have lost 11 workers, but GG gets called, and Zoun takes the lead against Clem. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Zoun does take a lead. Again, was able to gain a little momentum early on. If you recall, Clem was more aggressive. He was very active. He did move out ahead of time to try to break Zoun. In the process, Clem, he lost his Medevac, he lost his Cyclone, lost his Widowmine, he lost most of his main army early on. And that did leave Clem vulnerable to a counterattack. It was before the raid of Zoun, sort of, but Zoun did push in. He was able to take down the tank and wreak havoc here in the natural. Take a lead, get ahead, and get further ahead from there. Just crippling Clem early on, allowing him to snowball out of control later on down the line. And it was like almost a pseudo 2-base all-in. If you remember, Zoun, he did get a Forge, but he actually avoided +1 until after the aggression concluded. He intentionally did skip that upgrade for a while, just focusing on warp-ins, focusing on breaking Clem at the natural. With that, GG well played. Zoun does take a lead, and now do we see Clem switch to Protoss? Aye. Should be committing to Terran here, and personally, I'm hoping for an ace match. I said this before, I mean, we have seen Zoun defeat Clem, but even then it went all the way to game 3. Here, I'm hoping for another ace match as well, but the pressure is on Clem. Pressure is on. Here we go. Here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of first time, we have Clem for Team Liquid. In the bottom left, we have the South Korean Protoss player. The red Protoss, it is Zoun. Here we go. So we're getting into game 2. And we're loading into a much larger map. And this is where I would be a little more confident in, especially in the longer game state, if Zoun were to open up Stargate again. On these larger maps, he is a little bit safer to do something like that, to embrace Stargate play, but we'll keep an eye on Zoun. We'll see if he does mix it up and go for a Twilight Council instead. So he does move out. Clem now in serious mode, as he's in danger of losing the series. And we'll see if he can bounce back. Zoun moves out for the probe scouts. Does get eyes on the opener. Once again, Clem going to be opening up double gas. If you remember last game, this led into the initial Cyclone medevac push, which Clem did kind of fumble, and it led into Zoun taking the game, of course. But this can lead into Reactor Reaper Hellion. It can lead into early Banshee production, early tank production, early drop play, a committed Widowmine drop. Clem has options. And we'll see how he does deviate this time. I don't expect the same opener. I don't expect, you know, once again, faster Cyclone into an earlier bio push. I expect Clem to mix it up. But still going for a delayed CC. Meanwhile, Zoun going to be expanding, of course. Gate Cybercore into Nexus. Clem, he will poke in. Now going to be zoned away. Going to be zoned out of the main. Is denied the scouts. Once again, we do have our 1-1-1 setup here at a Clem. Command center on location. And Clem, this time, he is going for an earlier Hellion, not a Widowmine. So Hellion moves out initially. So double Reaper Hellion, followed by Widowmine production. Reapers, they commit into the main. They get past the Stalker. And they go for the mineral line. Probes are going to be going down. He gets one so far. He gets one. He's going to get two. And he gets a full scout. Likewise, Hellion into the natural. Looking for some more damage here. Up! Two of them line up. 4 probe kills. Not bad. And Clem is aware of the tech. He is aware of the Twilight Council. As we mentioned before, Zoun, he is mixing it up. Game 1, open up Stargate. Game 2, Blink. And we'll see how many gateways get thrown down. For now, only 2. Just a 2-gate setup. And we'll see if Zoun just goes 2-gate Blink into a 3rd, or gets up to 3, maybe even 4 gateways. For now, there's a 3rd gate. So we have a 3-gate setup. And is Zoun going to throw down the 4th gateway? Okay, he's got a shield battery. The probe is in position to expand. Okay, he's going to be expanding, going for a 3rd expansion. Not going for another gateway. Meanwhile, Clem coming in for a re-scout with the Widowmine drop. And does head towards the natural. But Zoun is in position. He responds well. Medevac under fire. Does get into the mineral lines. Zoun, he responds in time. He pulls away. Oh! And he gets a scout of every single gateway. He saw the gateways at the natural. He saw the gateways in the main. He's aware of 3-gate Blink. Or he saw the lack of a gateway in the natural, I should emphasize. And Clem should be feeling relatively safe. He should be aware that Zoun is expanding. Clem is getting ready back at home. With 3-gate Blink Stalker, the Protoss can still be aggressive and assertive. That is true. But isn't as committed. Zoun moves out. Clem setting up his SimCity. Building up tanks. Getting his bunkers. Zoun does confirm the setup. Clem is coming in with Raven Harass. Likewise, Zoun is in position. And Clem is looking to break out a little bit sooner here. Okay. So typically a Terran player would wait for the upgrades. You can see the Stim combat shields and +1, they're still on the way for Clem, but he does break out early. I mean, Zoun doesn't really have too many Stalkers, so which means Clem can now expand behind this. Still looking for a way in. Has the Mine towards the south, Raven towards the third. Main army pushes right through the center, and there it is. A third commencer is on the way for Clem. So he's expanding. He's not going for a 2-base all-in. Still a very assertive stance here out of Clem. Hoping to catch any stray Stalker. Nothing yet. Zoun does skirt around the edge, does avoid the main army. Going for a backstab. But Clem's army is building up. Zoun catching reinforcements, gets a Marauder. Forces back the army, delaying the push. Not bad. Again, Zoun just buying time for war pins. Extra reinforcements. No splash damage yet, he has an Immortal. Clem, he rotates around as well. There we go. Bay is now on the way for Zoun. But his Colossal production is going to be much more delayed. Zoun gets eyes on the CC, catches a couple of SCVs as well, distracting Clem. Does distract. Clem moving forward. And it looks like he's going to be committing. Pushing towards the natural. Zoun taking a fourth. And Clem, he actually retreats. He backs up. Never mind. Does back up. Zoun, he's aware. He saw, of course, the rotation. He does have the Observer over the army. And Zoun, he can breathe easy. Can breathe easy. As we are headed towards the mid-game. Clem, he still has a terrifying army. Like, I do favor Clem in a head-on fight. Based on what we have. But that's why it's so imperative here that Zoun buys time for more reinforcements. For the Colossus specifically. As his first Colossus is on the way. One Stalker goes down. Massive pickoff. Clem rotating over towards that third base. Again, has a terrifying army. And Zoun can't really engage. He's being cut off from his own fourth. And here we go. He does commit. Dives over the tanks. One tank, two tanks going to be going down. But there's just not enough on the ground. Zoun, he's being broken. He's being overwhelmed. Clem, he stims in. And he's snowballing out of control. The Colossus does arrive in time, though. Colossus has arrived. Zoun is going to be holding on. At the same time, they'll run back across the map. Get 6 SCVs. Tank left exposed. Tank does go down, and Zoun is holding on to the fourth. He's holding. Saves the fourth base, saves the mineral line. And Clem is forced back. Now, Clem does have a supply lead. A lot of that supply are in medevacs. Bear that in mind. The economies are still quite close. I say that 5 probes go down. Oh, brutal losses for Zoun. Zoun ideally does want a higher probe count. So Zoun is still trying to recover. 16 probes going down in total. Mind Drill coming back in. And Clem keeps reinforcing, keeps pushing. Zoun, he's barely surviving. And not quite in position. Yeah, he misses the army. Zoun, he misses the main army. Base is gonna fall. And Zoun is being starved out. We spoke earlier, he needs to saturate this fourth base. Now he's stuck on 3 bases. He just cannot keep up. Clem is going to be the first to max out. And this is one of the big features, or one of the difficult features, I should say, of Frostline, is how exposed the fourth base is. It is so difficult if you do not have map control to save and hold on to that fourth, and to get your economy up and running. You see here Zoun attempting to expand, or attempting to re-expand. Clem is aware, and all Clem has to do, the win condition for Clem, just rotate. Just rotate and deny the fourth base over and over and over again. Before eventually maxing out and pushing in. Zoun now working towards disruptors. You can see Clem, upon seeing that fourth expansion, he's responding to it. Is headed in that direction. Zoun moving up with another Zealot run by. Doing what he can. Zoun double expanding. Makes sense. He knows if one base falls, he will at least have another to fall back upon. Clem distracted by the Zealots. Clem, he's maxed. 200 supply. He's got Ghosts, EMPs, a handful of Vikings. Again, Clem, he has everything he needs. Oh, what about the Novas though? Nova goes off. Nova has potential, takes out one Ghost. But that is a way for for Zoun to bounce back in this game. Meanwhile, oh, the base hit finished. The Nexus is complete. That means it's just going to go down. There's no cancel. And brutal pick off. Clem is pushing in. Going for the kill. There are 3 disruptors with the main army. First Nova goes off. There's the second Nova. Grazes the army. There's 1 Nova left. The last Zoun being forced back. Vikings popping up. They take down the Colossi. And from here, Clem, he can stim and he can win. GG gets called and Clem ties up the series 1-1. We are going to the ace match. GG. GG, well played. A much more dominant and decisive game there by Clem. But what I should emphasize and what I was trying to get at there is that a lot of it came down to the map. You know, again, that is just what we see a lot of on Frostline is the 4th base dying. The 4th base going down time again. This is applicable to Frostline. It's applicable to King's Cove as well. Just very exposed 4th bases, very isolated 4th bases, and very difficult to defend. And alas, Zoun would lose it time and time again. Could not really keep up with Clem and with the movements of Clem's army. With that, GG. GG, well played. We're going all the way to the ace match, to game 3 on El Dorado. Let's go. El Dorado, one of the most vetoed maps in the map pool. I'm a little bit shocked here that it actually made it through. Checking the vetoes here, Clem vetoed all the larger maps, Neovila Square, King's Cove, and Amygdala. Likewise, Abyssal Reef also says they were vetoing all the larger maps. But interesting vetoes towards the end. Zoun got rid of Ultra Love and Ley Lines. Interesting. I'm curious if Zoun has something different in play or in store for us on El Dorado. Very curious. If we were casting Classic, for example, Classic, he is the kind of player in this matchup that is one to rush into Sky Toss. Once he gets his 3rd base, just rush into Sky Toss as quickly as possible. If he has map control, of course, he can get away with that. And a map like El Dorado would be a good map for that as well. But we'll see how Zoun approaches this. We'll see how he does approach it. Remember, game 1, Zoun opens Stargate. Game 2, Twilight Council. Game 3, could see either one. Could see either one here. Of course, the goal base can be a factor. The goal base, the short rush distance by air. We'll see. We shall see. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the French Terran Clem for Team Liquid. In the bottom right, we have the South Korean Protoss player. It is Zoun. It all comes down to this, the final matchup of the night, the final best of 3. Here we go. When I have ping latency shown on the right side of their APM counter, I don't think there's much reason or much call for that. I don't know if that, yeah. It's kind of a weird thing to ask for. Kind of weird. Do you want like a jet lag counter as well? Do you want to? Oh god. How jet lagged is X player? True. Have they eaten breakfast? Are they well fed? We need to know. Need to know about. How many hours did they sleep? We'll have the sleeped hours counter on the right hand side. Clem. What time is it in Europe? Hold on. EU time. Did he just wake up? Ooh, 2:30 p.m. So bright early in the morning for Clem. He just woke up. Okay. Well rested. True. Kappa. So we're settling into the ace match. Let's go. Yeah, 2:34 p.m. So we're around the time that Clem usually wakes up. So he should be looking. It's gaming hours for Clem. Let's go. Clem notorious for, of course, going to bed at like 10 a.m. Like 9 a.m. Like 8, 9 a.m. in the morning. Waking up at around this time. That's why settling in. I mean, I should also give credit to Clem because I would say that especially in the off season, of EBT, Clem hasn't been as degen. He was notorious at one point for playing in every ESL Open Cup Americas, but in recent weeks and in recent months, he has not been playing in the Stego Mondays or the Pigostorm Mondays. So Clem, he's less of a degen nowadays. More of a human being. He's crazy. Actually going to bed on time. Oh my god, the force field! Very nicely done here. Zoun shuts down the Reapers. Shuts down both Reapers, zones away the Hellion. Let's go. Does well for himself. He wakes up afternoon. Yeah, I think someone was saying in the chat about how like Gabe doesn't play in like ESL Americas because of ping. Clem is the opposite. Clem, he would play in every ESL Americas despite ping. Like Clem and MaxPax and a lot of European players actually. They play in the Americas weeklies. Again, during the off season, Clem has played less so in those events. Has been going to bed at a more reasonable time. Which you do appreciate. Clem, he's reformed. Crazy. So now we do settle in. So far, again, Zoun having a strong start, able to shut down the initial Reaper harass. So behind this Stargate opener out of Zoun, my apologies, so we'll focus on the game now, is going to be a Stargate opener into Phoenixes for map control. We spoke earlier that, I mean, this is one of the big advantages of El Dorado is the short rush distance by air. So you can be more assertive early on with your Phoenixes. As we say that, Zoun is being active. There are some Widow Mines in position, so Zoun has to be careful. Behind this, a little bit more old school, Zoun going Phoenix Colossus, but that is a fast Twilight Council, so very tech heavy here out of Zoun. Takes down the Widow Mine, will take a shot to the face. But yeah, Zoun going for the Bay and the Twilight Council. Safety Immortal on the way as well. Staying on 2 bases. And building up. So a Phoenix Colossus variation here by Zoun. Typically you would commit into maybe a heavier Phoenix count. We can see that we're working towards charge, I would imagine. There we go, charge is on the way. And we should soon be beginning the first Colossus. As the Bay has been done for quite some time. Extra gateways being thrown down. So yeah, not the most efficient start here out of Zoun. So far, I'm concerned that he's not going to be able to get away with this here. Wait, did he cancel the Bay? He's got a second Immortal on the way. The army moves out. And Clem, he's got a terrifying army, and he may have just canceled the Bay. Okay, we'll see if he can hold. We'll see if he can survive. Needs those Warpins, needs those Zealots. As Clem is moving out. Okay. Nice force fields. Delaying the push. Building on more Zealots. Shield batteries in position. Tag within range of the gateway. Ooh, yeah, brutal positioning here. The gateway is going to go down. Now Zoun, he has to be patient. He has to be as patient as possible, as the army isn't really threatening the natural. is threatening the third base, but Zoun just has to buy time for extra warp-ins. You see him trying to catch reinforcements. As I mentioned before, this is one of the downsides of going for a Stargate opener, is you are vulnerable to all-ins or to aggressive play. Tank on sieges. The Phoenixes, they force back the entire army, buying time, catching out more Marines, and Zoun saves the third. Very nicely done. Again, patient play here. Zoun, he did not pull the trigger with the ground army, only harassing with Phoenixes. Now we have the Temple Archives on the way. That should be for Storm. And Zoun holds. Whew. Zoun does hold. Getting his third base saturated. Clem now working on his own third CC as well. Both players building up. The Viking Hand is terrifying. I'm sure that's another reason as to why Zoun did not quite commit into any Bay production or any Colossus production. There we go, Storm is on the way. And we have a back and forth. We survived! We have more of a back and forth instead. The Phoenixes have to be very careful though. I mean, with the large Viking house sharking around and looking for the Phoenixes. Alas, they're out of position. Zoun gets an SCV. Ooh, but we'll lose one Phoenix. They'll say check for a third. Not quite on location yet. Both players still building up. Storm is almost done. That's going to be 6 High Templar for Zoun. That's going to be a lot of storms, and the army does get spotted. Zoun, he's aware of the army positioning. Sees Zoun getting ready for a Zealot run by. Clem, he pulls back. Zoun getting in position. As Zoun is still tracking the main army. Still 6 High Templar. And there are no ghosts yet, so there's no danger of EMP. As the Ghost production or the Ghost Academy has just now begun. Nice sniper in the Observer. He still has a lot of potential. Spots the main army, pushing in, catching out the Lib. Lib goes down. Tanks do siege. The Storms, they do zone away the army. Zealots are thrown away. Clem does have the supply lead, and a lot of the defense here is going to be heavily reliant on Storms. So Clem is going for a split push, dropping into the main. Dropping into the main base. Clem, he rotates towards the 4th. There was a Storm to defend, but does Zoun have enough? The Storms are pretty good. Oh my god, the Storms, they collapse on the main army. On the bio, on the tanks as well, and Zoun, he will shut down the main force, but at the same time, the drop in the main base, it's wreaking havoc. The drop is getting damage done, butts into the mineral line. Was initially a good defense by Zoun, but the drop, it's wreaking havoc. It's getting out of control. Takes down 11 workers, depowers some of the production. Forcing back Zoun. And even sniping the Bay. Colossi taking down an Immortal as well. An Archon, oh my god, the trades! Gets an Immortal and an Archon. Finally, Clem forces a pick up. Finally forced out. And Clem, he still has a terrifying army. Reinforcing towards the 4th. And unfortunately, unlike the previous defense, Zoun, he has less storms. He has significantly less storms than he once had. And Zoun is in trouble. He's in danger. He's being torn apart. The 4th base is going to go down. There's no saving it. He's going to try to recall. Flanking storms as well. Decent storms on the army. Oh my god. Clem, he stands in the storms. But he still snipes the base. The base still goes down. Ghosts have arrived. Nice pre-split here out of Clem. And Clem is snowballing out of control. He may have been forced into the air smash. He may have dropped game 1, but GG gets caught, and Clem, he will take the series 2-1, getting his revenge over Zoun. GG. GG, well played. Clem looking quite satisfied there with that win. Nice cheeky smile towards the end. Do appreciate it. GG, well played. Clem will take it. Takes down Zoun and does win both of his matches here tonight. Does win his matches. GG, well played. Oh. As Clem takes down Zoun, and that was our final series of the night as well. Shout out to Zoun, of course, for forcing the ace match and to bring us all the way to game 3. What I will say though is that the vetoes were very interesting to me. I'm a little bit surprised that Zoun did veto both Ultra Love and Ley Lines, did allow El Dorado and Frostline through. Maps that are traditionally vetoed here were, again, seen in the series instead, and Zoun did struggle in both of them. What I will say is that we did have an impressive initial defense by Zoun in game number 2. That is true. Sorry, in game number 3, when he was able to force back the army with the Phoenixes, but eventually did lose all his Phoenixes. He wasn't quite able to gain much value across the map harassing, and he was torn apart. Well played here by Clem. And with that, we're going to be wrapping up. We're going to be wrapping up here tonight. Our next broadcast is going to be tomorrow with day number 2 of this group. Massive Coliseum, the group stage, or the groups, they're split into 2 days. Today's day 1. Tomorrow is day number 2. Tomorrow, of course, we also have a second broadcast as well. After Massive Coliseum, it's going to be Massive Coliseum into the OSC Championship Bracket D. It is essentially a qualifier for the OSC Championship, which is, of course, the big end of year celebration. There's a lot of events going on here in January. I believe brackets A, B, and C were already played out, covered by Wardy, covered by Steadfast, and we, of course, are covering Group D. So again, that'll be tomorrow after Massive Coliseum. That is the plan. So a bit of a longer broadcast day tomorrow for us, but regardless, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for watching. I'm sure after this highlight clip, we are about to see the matchups for tomorrow. Quickly going over them though, I believe we should be featuring Clem versus Spirit. That should be another PVT. Looking forward to it. And we should be seeing the rest of Zoun's matches. So it's going to be Clem versus Spirit, and then Zoun versus Spirit, and Zoun versus Oliveira as well. So we're going to be featuring some more Zoun action tomorrow as he has some remaining matches. As a reminder as well, top two do make it out of the group stage. So far, Clem is looking poised to be one of those 2 players, but the question becomes, who will join him? Who will join him? Will it be Spirit? Will it be Oliveira? Will it be Zoun? Oh boy. So I think with the 2 losses today, I don't know if Oliveira can make it out. So I think really it's going to be contention between Spirit and Zoun. It's going to come down to the 2 of them to see which one will join Clem in the playoffs. And of course the rest of the players as well, as we are nearing the finale of the group stage of Massive Coliseum. Oh boy. Again, the playoffs are going to be next week. Bear that in mind. Non-stop StarCraft. It doesn't end, papi. It doesn't end. Aye. And I hope you've all been enjoying yourselves. Oh, now we do have the standings being shown off here. Yeah, the standings of the group. And a shout out as well to C Grail. Shout out to C Grail in the chat. God, thank you so much for subscribing for almost 2 years, 23 months. That's a lot of months. Thank you so much. And as you can see, yep, these are tomorrow's matches: Spirit versus Clem, Zoun versus Spirit, and Zoun versus Oliveira as well. So 3 more matches tomorrow. Make sure you're there for it. Make sure you tune in. Just catching up in the rest of the chat. Catching up. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. We'll find someone to send everyone over to. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more StarCraft. See you then.
恭喜小黑！这是4比3，飞龙在天！
哎，算了，恭喜他夺冠吧。
一把，我靠！
打不过啊，他最后这手感染虫太凶了。最近半年 ZVP 56-3给自己点一个赞，冠军。
I don't think Cyril has any chance to save this one, but he continues. It gets killed coming back, and Bunny just doesn't seem to have the numbers.
Look at that!
Didn't even notice the Liberator in the main base. I think so many probes are going down right now.
Oh my god, they're trying to get back, but they can't. And so many are picked up. A big clump here from Carey. Tries to split everything up.
Giant force of Ducklings rolling in, clearing the L. That's massive. Clem!
Yeah! Once again, has done it.
and he is a well-deserving champion.